Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, White Adam Portress. All right, come on, you knew that joke was coming, but never again. And I'm joined by the man who leapt out of his seat because he was really mad at that stupid joke. Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
The Rock has been in one good movie his entire career, and that movie's name is Moana.
And hold on, what could be spook? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. And Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear. What was, I don't know, you told me off my rhythm there. But I'll tell you, I feel about as useful as Adam Smasher in an elevator fight right now.
Oof, yeah, we don't want any of that. Well, welcome.
So just
back.
Adam Smasher?
Yes.
It's super scary season is on hold, everybody. But
it is not on hold. This is a super scary movie.
But hey, you're right, because what could be spookier than going into a dark cinema where you've got to give up your time and money to a comic book movie, and the man at the helm is Dwayne Johnson. That's a scary thought. I'm absolutely on board with you.
Can you imagine how much scarier this movie would be if Henry Winkler had to wear the Adam Smasher costume?
I was waiting for that.
I was hoping for it.
Spoilers.
I was
don't want to get
praying for it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into spoilers just yet, but that wasn't assumed. Like I didn't even think it might happen. Like I was just assuming that is where this movie was going, and that you and I were going to have a wonderful time talking about it.
Man, all they got, Henry Winkler's like, yeah, I'll be in your movie. Only FaceTime.
Could you
only
imagine
FaceTime?
In the costume, he stomps on a bad guy, puts both thumbs up, and goes, "Hey!"
Are you kidding me?
Awesome.
It would be amazing. He jumps over a shark.
Oh yes, he snaps his finger. The song changes on the jukebox or whatever.
They are leaving. They left way too much money on the table with this movie. I think we're figuring that out right now before the show even gets going. But before we do get this show going, we do want to say a giant thank you to everyone who supports the show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinga Zone, and of course, every single month, you get to vote on what we watch. And now we had Werewolf by Night kind of go up a little earlier in the month than we thought it was going to be. So initially we were going to just do Puppet Master, but since we've now gotten on to the end of the month here, and this is Patreon vote, and I have access to it, we're going to have a Patreon full moon vote. So we're getting right back into, as somewhat scary as this movie is, we're going to get into the super scary stuff with this Patreon vote. So let's go over those options here for you. First up is Puppet Master. Now, do you guys want me to read these log lines, or do we just kind of assume everyone knows?
I think everyone listening knows what Puppet Master is, or at least has a small idea of what
Puppet Master. You're probably good on that one. But the next one that we got to vote for is Demonic Toys. They're cute and cuddly by day, lethal demons by night.
What could that movie possibly be? Demonic Toys.
Ruthless killing machines come to life for just one purpose: death. Not too bad. We got the Creeps. The Creeps is undersized, undead, and angry.
Let me guess. Creepy people.
Kind of. We got Dracula, Frankenstein, the werewolf, the mummy, and an experiment of the maddest kind of science. These four classic monsters from film and literature are brought back to life, but something goes wrong.
Ooh, I vote for that one.
We've got Hideous. That's also another one. They are deformed, depraved, deadly. Dr. Luca, an eccentric collector of biological oddities, has just acquired his greatest specimen, a horrible mutant born of toxic sewage, but the creature's rightful owner wants it back. Then we have Trancers. Welcome to Angel City. 2247 Trooper Jack Death. That's Tim Thomerson. Is wiping out the last disciples of Whistler, who used his psychic power to trance those with inferior minds, forcing them to follow his every desire. Though he's been dead, he's very much alive in the year 1985. And
can I ask you guys? When it comes to Trancers, were either of you ever fooled by Trancers thinking that it was Scanners?
All the time. Almost every single time. Yeah.
Me too. When I was a kid, I always used to mix those two movies up.
I think that might have been on purpose. And then the last one, because we covered Doll Man previously, we got to put it up for a vote here as well. Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. That's where we take Doll Man and we pit it against Demonic Toys, I would imagine. But it does. They're
both the same size. That's amazing. It's going to be an amazing movie.
Judith Gray teams with Brick Bardo, that's from Dollman, and his girlfriend Ginger to face the Demonic Toys for one final battle. And if you'd like to vote on any of these movies and support this show at the exact same time, head on over to patreon.com/HMP and just help support this show at whatever value you think this show is worth. If we disappeared on a Monday, what dollar amount would you pay to get us back for that month? Put it on there, send it to us, and get some more stuff in the process. Patreon.com/HMP. And if you can't do that, hey man, why don't you get yourself some Dirty Babies merch and stuff? T-shirts, stickers, I don't care what you do. Go over there, and the links for all of that will be in the show notes. Yeah, I wish, man. If we had some of that, put it get Bruce a sweet face rub-on face tattoo. Beautiful.
Oh man, yeah. Show me your Dirty Baby chest tattoo out there, people.
Oh my. All right, let's get into it. Here is the trailer for Black Adam.
5,000 years ago, Kahndaq was a melting pot of cultures, wealth, power, and magic. Yet most of us had nothing, except for the chains around our necks. Kahndaq needed a hero. Instead, they got me. I did what needed to be done, and they imprisoned me for it. Now, 5,000 years later, I'm free, and I give you my word. No one will ever stop me again.
Alrighty, that was the trailer for Black Adam. You know what time it is.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Oh, what's he got? There's so many places he could go with this one. What do you got, Bruce?
Well, Black Adam debuted in Fawcett Comics way back in 1945 in Marvel Family #1. He was created by legendary writer Otto Binder and artist C.C. Beck and was only meant as a one-off villain for that particular comic. In the Marvel Family #1, Black Adam is an ancient Egyptian named Teth Adam, which means mighty human, according to Otto Binder. He's chosen by the wizard Shazam to be a successor due to his presumed moral purity. Adam is soon corrupted by the vastness of his powers, and he proceeds to overthrow and kill the Pharaoh and assume the Egyptian throne. Angered by this betrayal, the wizard Shazam renames his errant champion Black Adam, and, unable to revoke the powers that he gave Adam, he banishes him to the most distant star in the universe. Well, Black Adam spends the next 5,000 years flying back to Earth, because that's how far away that star was. And by the time he makes it back in 1945, Shazam has appointed 3 new champions to take his place. That's Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel Jr., and Mary Marvel. Well, the battle between Black Adam and the trio of Marvels is best described as a stalemate until the chubby Uncle Marvel, a.k.a. Dudley H. Dudley, tricks Black Adam into saying Shazam. The years catch up to Teth Adam, and he turns into a skeleton. Black Adam remains absent from comics for 30 years. Then, in the 1970s at DC, who had purchased Fawcett Comics a few years earlier, Dr. Sivana uses a reincarnation machine to bring Black Adam back from the dead. Of course, proving he's not a reincarnated ancient Egyptian usurper you can trust, he immediately destroys the reincarnation machine. This annoys Sivana, but there's really not much he can do about it. In 1994, under the writing stewardship of Jeff Johns and David Goyer, Black Adam's origin is revised, and he's now the son of Ramses II, a.k.a. Ramses the Great, and possibly Ramses the Damned, but when I try to look it up, all I find are a bunch of books by Anne Rice called Ramses the Damned series or something. Well, anyway, this new origin explains away Black Adam's anger issues as the result of being tricked by a woman, and not just any woman, but the wizard Shazam's evil daughter, Blaze. Later on, during the run of the Power of Shazam comic, Black Adam begins to be reformed, and I wouldn't say he becomes a good guy, but he does become a not at all that bad guy. And speaking of not all that bad guys named Adam, Adam, do you have a list?
Oh, I do indeed. If that comic connection wasn't enough for you, let me sell you on this new Rock thing, man, because this sucker's got everything. Like I said, it's got The Rock. But better than The Rock, they actually make you wait for The Rock. But we've got Yacht Rock, Shiny Blue Rocks. We got slave fighting, chest stabbing, body throwing, Shazam saying the first actor that you'll actually know on screen is Jaimin Hunsu. Never thought I'd think that in a movie. That's pretty cool, though. But The Rock does show up, but he's not the only super in this movie. We've got Hawkman, Atom Smasher. We got James Bond as Doctor Strange, Twister Girl. Blame the movie that I don't remember the name for that character. Sorry. We got the good, the bad, and the ugly. Helicopter smashing, bullet bouncing, face dragging, body tossing for a quarter mile, lightning eyes, mediocre teen acting, pipe throwing, giant fist punching, a lot of looking at statues. The devil shows up in a mid-credit sequence that actually makes the whole thing worth it for me. This movie's got everything.
Her name is Cyclone.
Oh, Cyclone.
And you guys want another like sub comic book connection about Cyclone?
Okay.
Her name is Maxine Hunkel. Did you guys pick up on that?
First of all, if I knew the last name was Hunkel, I believe that I would have remembered that fact.
And she's the granddaughter of none other than Ma Hunkel. Are you guys familiar with Ma Hunkel?
Yeah, she wears a pot on her head.
Yes. And when she wears a pot on her head, she uses a superhero name, the Red Tornado. So she was the original Red Tornado before the android Red Tornado. So it's suiting to me that the granddaughter of Red Tornado is Cyclone and has wind powers.
Interesting.
Though she's, I would say when she debuted in the comics, she was drawn for the male gaze. I'll put it that way. So they definitely did some course correcting on her.
Wait a minute. What year was this, you say?
It's like early 2000s.
No, that doesn't sound like the early 2000s that I know.
Oh, it's like they take advantage of every time she uses her wind power to do the old Marilyn Monroe, your dress comes up and you see your underwear kind of thing.
Yeah. So going into this, one thing I did not realize is the director of this movie. Are you guys familiar at all with Jaime Colette Serra?
I did not recognize the name at all.
Okay. Probably like the biggest thing that most people would know is he did the first Orphan movie in 2009.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really great film. But before that, in 2005, he did the House of Wax remake, which I actually really liked.
Yeah, that's good
this was
too.
a
That
super
remake's
scary
good.
movie. He's got a scary movie past.
Yeah. The Unknown with Liam Neeson was not super great, as was Nonstop and Run All Night. Couple of Liam Neeson films together, but he did do. He also did the Commute. The Commuter sucked, but like The Shallows with Blake Lively, that movie was great. Like this he's got like a decent little, and he did Jungle Cruise with The Rock previously. So
talk about super scary.
Well, he's got but he's got a pedigree of directing. Like this guy's he's not a slouch here and everything. I did not know that. And while watching this movie, especially with the opening and everything, that like I said, I was so happy that we weren't just bashing us over the head with The Rock straight out of the gate, and it wasn't The Rock show. And I think that was the biggest thing that I was most pleased with, is that we didn't try to stretch this man really too far beyond the limits that he actually has.
And I think they had the courage, and not only the courage, but they got Rock's consent to make him truly villainous for a significant part of this movie. Because, of course, they're not going to just introduce Black Adam as a straight villain when you've got a box office draw like The Rock playing it. You got to switch it around to the kind of anti-hero.
Yeah.
The highest paid movie star in all of Hollywood right now.
Or at least an anti-villain kind of stance. But he really plays straight up villain for a significant part of this movie. And I applaud that, because I think it would have been so tempting. Let's just put it this way. If they had cast Vin Diesel instead of The Rock, he would be like the most morally correct person from frame one of the movie.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine this movie with Vin Diesel in the role of Black Adam?
I kind of think it would have been funny if they got like a Vin Diesel lookalike to play the schleppy version of The Rock when he gives up his power. Like, I think that would have been a funny in-joke.
Oh my God. If he said, listen, I will be in the next Fast and Furious, but I've got one ask. You have to play the loser version of me in the Shazam.
Oh my
gosh,
think,
that's great.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about The Rock being in any more Fast and Furious. I think that relationship is.
Yeah, I think we're past that at this point.
Get the baby oil.
I'm going to come right out of the gate. You guys like this movie way more than me. It's totally fine if you like this movie. I hate this movie. I think it's I think it's by the numbers, boring. There are some good things to it. Like I really like Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. I think that's the most interesting character in this movie. I don't know why you kill off the most interesting character, except for maybe you knew you weren't going to get the actor for a second one.
Also, Dr. Fate's the kind of guy that if he does agree to come back, he's alive as easy as you need him to be. The helmet just brings it back, you know?
Sure. And there's problems because that helmet is problematic.
Yes, we will talk about my least favorite part of the movie at times was the helmet.
Wow. You like the helmet even less than you like Skateboard Boy?
Skateboard Boy doesn't bother me because I grew up in the 80s. So I was trained that like a certain amount of something that would fit in the Goonies is fine with me, even if it doesn't.
If that kid was skateboarding through that factory and some Cyndi Lauper came on, the grade would go up one notch right away.
Look, that's all well and good, but this is not a kid skateboarding through factory listening to Cyndi Lauper.
No, he's not. That's what I'm saying. It's a little bit disappointing. So one grade down.
The
skateboard kid really doesn't bother me though. I just got to say that I'm braced for that.
As a skateboarder though, I don't like watching people that I don't believe are avid skateboarders because like I could tell like, you know, just the way he kind of got off and on. Like the kid knows how to skateboard, don't get me wrong, but like he ain't doing those behind his back shots and stuff where he's, you know, ollieing up things and everything. I'm like, well, that ain't him.
Yeah, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kids, the bad kids.
Yes.
So like here's the thing, right? Is that I would be very, very angry indeed at this movie, especially since it's like I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I see that the rest of the world just thinks this is a wonderful movie. But
well, the critics don't.
my experience watching this movie was that I was in a 90% empty theater. And on the same row as me, but I was on one end and this family of four was on the other end, was a mentally disabled kid. Mm-hmm. And that kid had the time of his life watching this movie. And so I was like, you know what, man, like it's okay. It's okay that this movie is not for you. You could just keep moving on. It's totally fine. Like, don't let this movie affect you in any way because you don't
I think it's paced in a way that kids are going to like it. I think there's nothing wrong with bringing superhero fare back to kids again.
Yes, I totally
The Rock
agree.
Is much more, I think, a favorite of children than he is of adults.
Sure.
So I think that this is not only going to be successful at appealing to kids, which DC superhero movies hasn't done such a great job of, but I also think this is going to be like the DC superhero movie that's closest to Fast and Furious in that it can stink, but it actually is being made where not every cast member looks like all the rest of the superheroes you're used to seeing. Sure. I think this is going to have a big international box office. I mean, the opening weekend was bigger internationally than in the US.
Sure.
So I do think that this is kind of like, I don't know if I would say serving an underserved audience, but it's reaching an audience DC hasn't managed to reach with its superhero movies, in my opinion.
Well, I think
that's what I find interesting about it. Like, I don't necessarily like the movie. It doesn't bore me. I think it's fine. I don't dislike it like you do, but I find it interesting because they're actually doing something here that I think is going to be really different from what they've done so far. And when I say so far, I mean going all the way back to the first Superman movie in 1978. You know, I'm talking about this modern era of DC Warner Brothers superhero stuff.
It wasn't always like exhilarating or anything, but it was I never found myself being bored of anything kind of going on. They feel like they've gotten enough of the pace that's going with stuff. The way that they play The Rock off as it should be. You wake up 5,000 years and you have to
11-year-old.
Yeah.
Bruce, let Adam finish this thought.
I'm so sorry.
Nah, go ahead. I lost my train. Go ahead.
I apologize, man. I'm not at my best either.
That's okay.
But I could just imagine like a 10, 11-year-old boy or girl really being able to stick with this a lot better than the Eternals, for example.
Oh man, but I mean, you're
okay.
Come on, that's unfair.
No, but that's what we should be doing. Honest to God, that's what we should be doing. And thinking about this though, like right, because Eternals was an abnormal thing for Marvel. by and large, especially considering what came previous to it. With this, I feel like this is, as far as like from a storytelling standpoint, from a character standpoint, from a directing standpoint, I feel this is a large step up for DC. I feel like they were actually, it felt like somebody came into this thing with a plan. Like they said, okay, it feels like we've taken what we've got here. I think they have obviously plans for Shazam and stuff in the future, and it feels like they're starting to think about what they're doing, as opposed to just kind of giving us some superhero movie and hoping to God somehow we can cram them together in some weird way that DC usually.
But they are doing that in this movie. I totally disagree with you. They're trying to jam in more stuff because that is the popular thing to do with comic book movies
but it feels like they're not doing it blindly as they have been in the past. It feels like they're planning on things in the future, and they could screw it up, but Lord knows they've done it before.
I just want them to make a movie, man. Like get making movies right first. Marvel had those growing pains in the second or the first phase and a little bit of the second phase of Marvel, where it was like, my God, man, you really are shoehorning this crap in here. And, the TV shows feel like that to me now, too, where it's like, man, come on. Like, how many more new characters are you going to try to shoehorn in here? Like, come on, let's go.
Well, one nice thing about the retirement of the Berlanti Arrowverse, which is what, we finally made it to that point, is now the Justice Society can be on the big screen because they were relegated to Berlanti stuff. And they kind of had this weird thing where, other than the Flash, they don't like to duplicate those characters very much. I guess they did it with Superman too. But I feel like, other than the mid-credits scene, this is just a standalone movie. Like, this could be the very first entry in the DC extended universe, and I think it works.
And it's a backdoor pilot for a Justice Society, and like, how's that?
That's exactly my point. You just made my point for me.
But yeah, I'd rather
you
have
don't
that.
need, as much as I like Dr. Fate in this movie. You don't need any of those characters. You can make this movie without any of them, and it would be the same movie.
Well, him just going up against the devil and stuff. But they need him to use a little teamwork there. I mean, that's always.
And let's call the devil in this movie what he is, which is the bad guy at the end of Tekken 2. Like, that is literally what he looks like.
Well, I mean, Sabak does predate the bad guy at the end of Tekken 2 by a good bit. He's famously an enemy of Captain Marvel Jr. rather than Captain Marvel or Black Adam. But yeah, Sabak's been around for a while. I
don't know how famous that is, but maybe he was. I think that, I don't want to rail on this movie because as Bruce said so many times previously, I don't want to ruin everybody's good time with me saying you have bad taste. But Adam, you have really bad taste, as we all know. And what I was wondering is, like, when you watch this movie, do you see the correlation between like Michael Bay movies and this movie?
Yeah.
And that, because that is what this movie felt like to me. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like I was watching Orphan, which I love that movie. That movie is great. And have you seen the sequel to that yet?
I tried to watch it and I couldn't get through 15 minutes.
Oh man, that's a shame because I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to because I really love that first one.
It's like the idea of so good, but it's just like you won't be able to get past the fact that they've CGI'd the actress's face. And
really?
It's a little like it's. It was so good. It's like you didn't need it, man. You didn't need something extra. You had to just leave well enough alone sometimes.
It is difficult to make a sequel to a movie about a little girl who never grows up 13 years later. And you know what I mean?
Like, with the same actress. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
She's only 6'1" and shaving.
and you can't Tom Cruise that girl.
No, it's a little, and so you spend half of at least the minutes that I watch and just going like, what am I? Is she? What is it like? Is it through a weird lens or something that we're looking at? Why is everything
say the first Orphan movie, and boy, nobody tuned in here to get spoilers for the first Orphan movie, so I'm just going to say that it made me uncomfortable because I knew that the actress really was a child. And there's some stuff that made me uncomfortable in that first one. So I never really liked that movie very much, but I'm sure it's a good
She was
movie.
also a little older than, obviously the character that she was even
Yeah, she
portraying.
wasn't
The
like
fake-
8 like in the movie.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
wasn't
I
like
said,
that young.
It's weird that I don't want to spoil Orphan on a Black Adam movie, so I won't talk about it anymore.
But good stuff. Do highly recommend it.
Another thing that I do have to say that I did like about this movie was that, there's basically the two twists in this movie, because there's the first twist, and I saw that one coming a mile away. But the second one that I didn't see coming was the twist that Black Adam isn't the guy that they made the statue of. It's the son.
I didn't see that twist either.
I did not see that coming.
And other than that twist, I think, once again, don't love this movie, but I think watching it feels like a comic book. Other than that particular twist, I don't know that one really feels like it, but the rest of it feels kind of straightforward. Like, I mean, how many times have you picked up a comic book and in addition to the title character, other superheroes are flying in and working on stuff? I mean, I didn't have a problem. And I also like the Justice Society. I like them better than the Justice League. And in my brain, I've separated DC movies kind of into 3 categories. There's like the popcorn movies like Aquaman and this movie and Shazam, Shazam, a good popcorn movie, tons of fun for me. And then there's the serious movies like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, the Robert Pattinson, the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's movies that should be popcorn movies, but they think they're serious movies, like all the Snyder movies. And I'm going to throw Patty Jenkins into that. I think she is trying to be a little too serious and have a little more success with popcorn. But so going into this, I already had this in its category. I knew it was going to be the popcorn movie. This is going to be in the same section of the movie collection as Aquaman, right? And when I see this, I think that it's on par with Aquaman in terms of quality, which, if I recall, I liked Aquaman better than you did too, Sean.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This movie is Aquaman. So like, if you like Aquaman, you'll like this movie. That's a good way to put it.
And I like this movie more than I liked Aquaman. So,
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't argue that Aquaman's better. I'm just saying this is kind of
it's of that level, to be sure. Yeah, it's exactly what I kind of expected going into this, as far as from a story action standpoint goes.
And I think all 3 of us like Shazam better than either Aquaman or Black Adam, but it's still one of those fun popcorn, let's just have fun for a moment movies.
I do. I mean, Shazam is by far my favorite of all of these movies. I don't know what makes it so special. Well, I do know what makes it special. Yes, Zachary Levi is what makes those movies great. That and the director.
Mark Strong was what made it special.
He's good.
But I think that they kind of okay, so let me go backwards for a second. So here's the thing, right? Did you guys get trailers at the beginning of your movie when you saw it?
I did. Believe it or not, I had to walk out of the trailers because they were so loud in the RPX theater that, like, even me, a guy who enjoys himself,
you love getting rattled.
But I was just like, I couldn't do it. I'm just like, I'm gonna be in. Like, I had my AirPods Pro in my pocket, because I kind of thought there might be a chance this could happen. So I took those out and put the noise canceling bits on, and it was just like, son of a, I got to get out of here, bro. And so I went and I told somebody, thank God they turned it down and everything, but it was at 11. I almost, my ears are bleeding over here. And I heard somebody had a small child in this theater. And I'm just like, you all sat in here during all of this? You're insane. How do you not just go with it? This is
shame.
It's gonna kill you, man. My God.
And I think to the point of your question, Sean, I did get a Shazam 2, whatever the sequel to Shazam trailer before this movie.
That's why I was going to say I didn't see the trailer because I had to walk out.
I think that was almost poor form, though, because it makes me want to see Shazam 2 instead of Black Adam.
Well, and that's my point here, right? So, I go into this movie that I kind of sort of am lying in the weeds for, because as you guys already know, like, I think The Rock is just the worst as an actor. Like, he seems like a really great dude. Like, for real, he does.
Yeah.
But like, that man does not need to be in every movie ever made. Like, like let's give him his Young Rock TV show. Let's put him in like the same place that, like, like all ex-athletes go, like, oh, he's going to be the host of this show that's like a game show about wrestling. That's perfect.
You could be in a movie once every 4 years.
Sure.
One of those type of things where you
yes, that's perfect.
Like If there was something similar but higher profile to that Kelly Ripa talk show,
Dude, I was exactly going to go there. I was like,
Yes.
The Rock should have a daytime talk show, and it would.
He should be like Michael
gangbusters.
Strahan, exactly like
but
Michael Strahan.
I think he would get just a little higher profile than Michael Strahan.
Well, and that's fine. He can be there too.
He could be like the new Mark McGrath or McGrath on Entertainment Tonight. Or
How-
something.
he should not be pulling the trigger with DC on whether or not Superman is coming back.
Yet here we are.
And here we are.
I get the
So
say
like,
on that.
so like, I'm watching these trailers, and the trailer for Shazam comes up, which looks like a far superior movie to the movie that I'm about to see. And then the trailer for Black Panther Wakanda Forever comes up, and I'm like, well, that movie looks 1,000 times better than the movie
by
I'm
the
about
way,
to see.
seeing that, like, because I kind of, normally I try to skip some trailers, but I watched that one with just, I don't know, it's renewed something in me that maybe this was a new trailer for Black Panther. I don't know. I hadn't really watched any of the other ones, but man, that one actually got me hyped for it. You're not wrong. I was like, ooh, I finally feel like I know what this movie's about.
I had seen 0 Black Panther trailers, and unfortunately, I didn't like turn away my eyes or whatever. But what I think was a significant character reveal happened in the trailer that I would have preferred to have happened for me, like in the movie. But what are you going to do? You win some, you lose some.
Well, I mean, they basically revealed 3 new characters in that in that latest trailer, where it's like, come on, guys, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
That would have been nice to have been a surprise later.
No, you don't know what it's about unless we tell you everything that's in it. It's like, pump the brakes a little, buddy. But
And I'm not even talking about the Namor stuff, because the Namor stuff is all over the new
I'm
Black
not talking
Panther
about
stuff.
Namor either.
Right. It's the other 2 you're talking about, right?
oh, by the way,
I don't even want to say anymore because I don't want to do
Right.
the same to someone else.
Right,
I
I'm
do
with
want to
you.
do this though. I want to point to the stands right now and just say a possible nomination for Angela Bassett for that movie. Her stuff in like some of them trailers and everything, where she's just giving her her impassioned speeches and everything. I'm like, I don't know. She might get a little something. I just because she's been an amazing actress for so many years. I'm sorry.
She has. What happened? Like, why is she on that dumb Fox show?
I don't know. I feel like she should be in like so many things because she's so great.
Agreed. It seems like her and Ralph Fiennes both, like, they kind of hit a skid at the same time when they did Strange Days, because they were like the coolest coolies in the world. And then they did Strange Days, and like they kind of had to veer off course for a bit. Like, Ralph ended up being in Harry Potter, which completely reignited him.
Yeah, and he's back
But
on track.
Angela Bassett didn't have that thing.
So
Maybe this is it.
What's that stupid show on Fox?
It's called like Texas 911 or something like that.
Is it a comedy?
No.
bad
It's
choice.
a procedural thing. It's like,
I imagine she's just hoping, 100 episodes, syndication, easy street for life kind of thing. I'm
Sure.
not gonna begrudge somebody for trying to get the retirement in order.
I need to get
nor I, but she should never have been put in that position where she needed to think like that.
I agree with you on that one. But
So the
back to
third thing-
hand.
To get back on track, man, I am taking us all over
That's
the place
all
because
right.
I really don't want to talk about Black Adam today. Sorry. The third trailer that I saw was for, there's one other trailer, and I was like, this movie is reminding me also that I'm about to see Black Adam. This just looks better, and I can't remember what it is. Crap, because there was 3 trailers.
Well,
I can't remember.
I walked out.
I can't remember the third trailer either, but I think we had the same 3 trailers, Sean. Because
Yeah.
I had the first 2, but I can't remember the third one because I was kind of miffed after the Black Panther one. But-
So like being in that position where there's a movie that I already know that I'm probably not going to like, and then these other movies are coming up where I'm like, well, I would much rather be watching that.
That is
I
the
would
worst.
much rather be watching that. That is literally the worst feeling. Actually, you know what? You know what's worse than that? There is one thing that's worse that trailers can make worse. There's a movie that you really want to see, and you go to see it, and there's a trailer for a movie that looks even better than the thing that you're sitting about to
Bro,
watch.
on the Film Find, when we were watching everything, that was the worst part because you knew you were walking into a crap movie because we were just watching every single thing that came out and seeing so many trailers for like, oh, I could be watching that. That'd be a way better movie than this piece of garbage I'm about to watch.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. It was Glass Onion. That was the third thing that I wanted to see way more.
Oh man,
What's that one about?
It's the Knives Out sequel.
Oh yeah. I didn't.
But it's Netflix only, which is weird that it got a trailer.
Well, it's for a week in theaters.
Yeah,
that's why they're
it's gonna push
pushing
it. So they're
And
doing.
also, you got your Ryan Johnson history, so of course you're excited for that one.
Of course, man, and I also think that Daniel Craig is doing his best work in that movie, in that first movie, where he's eating scenery. Like, what the rest of his career is going to look like based on that character in that movie.
Seeing Timothy Dalton as the chief in Doom Patrol, and now seeing Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate. I'm waiting for Daniel Craig to get old enough to be in some weird DC property. That's what happens when James Bond gets old,
Bound to happen.
Hey,
even Sean Connery was in an American's Best comic, which was a DC property at the time, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
It's true.
Comes around to everybody. But
never mind. Because I was about to bust into. So now that Harrison Ford is playing Thunderbolt Ross, there's no doubt that the Red Hulk is coming, right? Like, we all know the Red Hulk is coming now, right?
Well, you have to with that in.
They're contractually obligated just to spray paint Harrison Ford red, and he's the Red Hulk.
There is no way you put Harrison Ford in that role and you don't make Red Hulk. There's just no way. There's no way.
So the question is, will we see Thunderbolt Ross stand up at all, or will he be sitting behind a desk? That's kind of what I'm starting to wonder. He's getting that age.
You're going to be seeing him doing a whole lot of sitting, like the Fat Man from Jake and the Fat Man.
Okay, so back on track. I want to talk a little bit about our Justice Society. First off, the idea that Amanda Waller has any kind of say-so whatsoever over the Justice Society is an interesting twist. I mean, the reason she put the Suicide Squad together, Task Force X or Checkmate, is because she needed somebody she could control to keep tabs on the Justice League and the Justice Society. So I'm not sure what to make of that twist, but I do guess they're still trying to find their shared universe, and maybe they're thinking she could be their Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury.
I feel like at this point she has to be that, yeah?
I think so too. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes. And within canon, I mean, it makes total sense to have Amanda Waller, because she's been beaten by the Suicide Squad twice now, where she's like, well, that didn't work. Let's get another thing together. I mean, that makes more sense.
The third time is a charm, I've heard.
And Justice Society didn't feel like the Justice Society. To me, it felt a lot like the Doom Patrol and then X-Men, which kind of makes sense if you know the history of Doom Patrol and X-Men. But it really had more of a Doom Patrol / X-Men vibe to me than Justice Society by far. Even the Jet.
Oh my God. What's making you say Doom Patrol? Doom Patrol is like the craziest, bonkers, awesome thing in the world.
That's after Grant Morrison came along. I'm talking comics.
Right.
And that's after Grant Morrison came along. Doom Patrol
was more like X-Men, right?
Yeah, I mean, X-Men and Doom Patrol came along, it was pretty clear the X-Men were a rip-off of Doom Patrol, their first, few issues. And that's why I'm saying, it reminded me a little bit of a Doom Patrol vibe, mainly with Pierce Brosnan. And then they get into the mansion, they get into the jet, and all of a sudden I'm starting to get a whole lot of a X-Men vibe. And then, of course, the way they decided to depict Dr. Fate's powers is pretty clearly they said, you know what, people seem to like Doctor Strange, so let's just stick with that. And I'm not even going to fault them for it. It's like you've tried to do your own thing and failed so many times. I got nothing against them doing what comic books have always done.
And those movies have made money, man. Those Doctor Strange movies
and comic books DC's always stolen from Marvel. Marvel's always stolen from DC. Yeah. I compare it to football. If one team wins a Super Bowl with the spread offense, you don't tell other teams that they shouldn't run a spread offense, So I'm just looking at it that way.
The Long Beach out route. So there are a couple other things about this movie that I like. I do like the actor who plays Hawkman. I think
great.
He's good.
I really like him, and it's one of those things. I don't know why. He's got one of those faces you can't stop looking at.
It's true. I think that the character sucks, but I like that actor.
Yeah, I think
he's really good.
Yeah, exactly. I think without him, it would have been a whole lot lesser for sure.
Yes,
I've always been a little fond of Hawkman, so I don't have that problem. I also love the overly ornate helmet that they stuck with some comic book accurate stuff.
I thought it looked pretty good
on screen, but I like it.
I thought it looked good for what it was supposed to be, and how corny that could look. that you know, it's not nearly as bad as anything could look.
I'm not a fan of the metallic appearing wings. I wish they had looked a little more feathery, but that's okay. You know,
but that's the Egyptian thing too, right? Which I'm surprised they didn't do that. Like I expected there to be more of that in this because of, you know, Black Adam, but there wasn't.
And if they really wanted to make it interesting, I mean, Carter Hall, who is Hawkman, is an archaeologist, and they could have, if they're going to bring in the Justice Society, it would have made more sense if Carter Hall had unearthed Black Adam and unleashed this evil. So he had to bring in the Justice Society to try to reclaim it, and then we get into the main part of our movie.
Well, then where would you have the time for the fat, hilarious uncle?
That's true, because boy, he's going to be responsible for at least 40 million of the box office internationally. I'm telling you that right now.
He's like
probably
that guy.
like ridiculously famous somewhere where we don't watch movies.
Oh, maybe.
The best part is like there's at least 2 or 3 haircuts in this movie that are just so bad that they're good. Like the main bad guy, his haircut just unbelievably awful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good, bad, and same dude who rides the truck and everything. He talks about his bald spots. At least he mentions it. But the other guy who we're supposed to treat as regular, it's like, bro, you got that same hairdo pretty much, except minus a bald spot. But you look like you're wearing a helmet. What's going on? It's great. It's so bad, but it's good.
And a twist that never happened, but I was fully expecting from the moment that she first goes down into that, like, I don't know, that archaeological ruin and finds the crown. I was totally expecting the mom to become Sabak. Like, I was expecting her to get into a situation where she thought the only way to save her son was to put that crown on. And she already had like the necklace and stuff that kind of matched it, was made from the same material. And I thought like other people put it on and it has no effect, but she puts it on and her necklace glows and then she turns into the devil they have to defeat. I was waiting for that to happen, and that never happened. I was even waiting for it at the very end when her son was behind the force field and they were demanding the crown, that she thought maybe wearing that crown and using the power was the only way to save her son.
That would have been better than, because like when she just goes like, we're not doing any of this and nobody gets this crown until we get my son. And I would have loved to them looking at her and just goes, you know, we're all like superpowered people and we literally can just take this from you right now. Right now. We don't. What? Are you insane? Like,
and of course that adds a level of difficulty fighting the boss, you know, the boss villain, when you can't just rip him in half by his horns. You're trying to save him.
I thought that was cool. I like that. I thought that was a great end to that character being ripped in half from the horns and everything. I thought that was good.
Isn't that how you finish the devil in Tekken 2?
Probably.
I think it is. You know what I was just looking at, because Aldous Hodge, who I've liked for a while, because he was in Straight Outta Compton. He's in that movie and he's really good as MC Ren, who's like the forgotten, you know, NWA. Remember?
Oh yeah.
I just looked this up because I was looking to see what else I knew him from. He is a child in Die Hard with a Vengeance. He's a kid in that movie.
That's
and
awesome.
Here's the thing. Much later when they do Live Free or Die Hard, he's in that movie. A Good Day to Die Hard. He's in that movie also as a different character, which I find very interesting. He must have said something to somebody and been like, hey, why don't you just have me play the same character? And they were like, no, that would be too smart. We're going to go another way with this. A Good Day to Die Hard has to make absolutely no sense at all. So sorry.
Boy,
Now,
that was a bad one.
As we were watching the team get assembled, they did do something that's very DC Comics, and that is putting people that have no business on this team because DC always has like you're, you know, at least one person that you're thinking they're so lame. What are they going to do against Black Adam? And of course they kind of had that with Cyclone. She's a little bit outgeared. And then of course you've got second generation Atom Smasher too, but the actor who played Cyclone, they are from Euphoria. And I think we're getting to the point where every movie with a 25, 24, 23, 22-year-old in its cast is going to cast somebody from Euphoria. Because I've never watched the show, but it seems like that cast is really getting around.
It's true. That's one of the shows that's a feeder show. Any Game of Thrones actor is a feeder show. There's the Mike Flanagan camp. That's another, that's a feeder crew where, like, because Mike Flanagan works with a lot of kids. And so, and like he just miraculously finds these amazing actors.
And when Cyclone is first riding up to the mansion on her bicycle that looks kind of like Pee Wee Herman's bicycle, like they do this really weird thing where I'm thinking, are they going to try to tell me this is a 12-year-old? You know what I mean? Like the way she's dressed and on the bike and everything. So I'm glad that she's just kind of quirky and they weren't trying to play off this 25-year-old actor.
Well, she's dressed like Cyclone.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know it was Cyclone. In fact, I thought it was this character, Black Alice from the Secret Six, and I was starting to wonder if they were
going that's neat.
Secret Six route instead of JSA.
That's neat because I just instantly thought it was Cyclone because I don't know Secret Six,
and I don't really know Cyclone that much. I heard the name Maxine Hunkel and looked it up and saw the connection to Ma Hunkel, but other than that, I'm not familiar with Cyclone very much.
Doesn't it sound like the Appalachian just coming out when he says Hunkel?
Really read. What's that?
Sounds like the Appalachian coming out when you say Hunkel. I don't know what it is. It's just it sounds right. It's just like that sounds about what he would say. The word Hunkel. Somebody in this town's named Hunkel. I don't doubt it.
Ma Hunkel does sound like a character from Petticoat Junction.
Where's Arnold Ziffel at? Adam Smasher. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed that character.
Oi, really?
I got to tell you, this actor, I don't know him for much, but one thing that was obvious to me is I looked at some pictures of him online. Mm-hmm. He really, really hit the gym hard, and they put him in a costume, so he didn't really need to hit the gym hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell if you look at him just how thick his neck is. And then like you see pictures of him before he got cast in this role and he's like super skinny dude. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of funny to me to know that he probably made his life a living hell to get into great superhero shape and it's stuck in the suit.
It's as I'm sure I've heard other people.
Guys, you're talking over each other constantly.
We're not. Trust me on this.
Is there a lag happening?
There's probably a lag happening because we're spacing enough. It's okay.
It from my end of things, it sounds like you guys are talking at the same time.
Sorry about that. I think there is a lag, though, because I haven't spoken for a few minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He hasn't been here for 3 days.
What do you mean? Bruce has been dead for 10 years. Dun, dun, dun.
Where are those podcasts? Where are those comic book connections been coming from the whole time? They've been from inside the house.
They're coming from inside the house.
I like it that it's like a Norman Bates situation and Adam just has a corpse dressed like me in a rocking chair.
It's really tough to do those anime dad videos, but I get by.
I'm like a ventriloquist puppet.
It's entertaining for everybody.
Boy, Adam, you weren't kidding, man. This kid is the skinniest kid in the world. My word.
But at the same time, too, there's so many of those actors that, like, when you hear you're going to get to go to a superhero film, they're now going to pay for your food, your nutritionist, your exercise stuff. You are going to get in the best shape of your life, and they're going to pay you for it. Like if you're a dude, especially like a young dude like that, I feel, and you like look at Chris Pratt. Now, Chris Pratt was like, in better shape before, Parks and Rec and everything. And he only got work because he was, a little fatter and funny because the funny fit guy doesn't tend to get a lot of that work. So
it's true. So Ryan Reynolds was getting all that work.
Exactly.
I would also say that it's very different going from fat and funny to fit and funny than it is going from skinny to fit. Like I think it's a little bit easier to go from fat to muscular than skinny to muscular.
It depends on all. Well, in this Marvel and DC world, it all depends on what drugs they put you on.
Exactly.
Let's not pretend like all of these cats are. And I love watching all of the juice heads, and they'll call themselves that. Will point out exactly what these guys. They look at their body and just go like, I know what this guy's using, and will list off the 3 or 4 drugs that most likely they're on. So, yeah. But if somebody's going to pay you to get in shape, boy, let them pay you.
Yeah.
But are we in an agreement that he didn't really need to get in shape for that role?
I guess not. But then again, Pierce Brosnan looked like he was buffing that whatever suit that they put him in. So I'm sure he was.
That wasn't Pierce.
I'm sure, that's what I'm saying.
That ain't Pierce Brosnan.
That's what I'm saying. So, maybe not.
Now, my sons both thought they were trying to go for just a hint of a Deadpool vibe with Adam Smasher.
Oh,
with
what do
his
you
mask and
think? A
his comments.
smidge? I think they were licking up the pools of Deadpool's tears
I
to
think
put
it was
into
a
this
subtle Deadpool homage if you watch closely.
film. Subtle. Subtle's a sled. It's as subtle as The Rock's acting as it was.
It's as subtle as the AVR in the movie Things.
But I will say this, like, honestly, I think they, for all of the things, and I think what Sean had in his head as far as like the worst outcome for what this movie could be and what they would, quote unquote, let The Rock do or whatever. They subdued him enough. It's his movie, but it's not his movie. It's really about the Justice Society with his kind of, it's like Arnold with Terminator, you're playing a different kind of thing, somebody out of space, out of time, all of these things and stuff. So you can forgive some of the things not being, like him being a great dramatic actor or whatever. You can just go like, hey, listen, he just learned English 5 seconds ago. All right. He's been in a tomb for 5,000 years. He's got to figure out what's going on. And frankly, I think he takes it rather well. Better than Encino Man did.
I kind of wish they had really tried to make The Rock do some kind of accent.
Oh my word.
That would've been fun.
Also, how come he's speaking English?
He does speak whatever language they have him speak to begin with, but he, like, when the kid starts talking to him, like, I guess it's one of those, you learn it like whatever.
I mean, he's got the power of language. He's got the power of a council of wizards, so I just assume he can speak any language he wants.
There you go.
He's got like
there's a lot of things in this
spy.
movie. There's so many things in this movie that are unearned, like the people rising up to help Black Adam. That's complete garbage.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of it stretches the imagination a little bit for what a group of people would do in such a short amount of time. This guy comes out of nowhere, has killed a whole lot of people. Now, granted, they killed some bad people that were, kind of against them and everything, but it quickly turns into, well, we're going to worship this guy. And even when confronted and just being like, listen, should you worship this guy? She's just like, listen, he's not that bad a guy. like that's her excuse, is like, listen, he might have done some really bad things. Nevertheless, he is guarding my home, so I guess he ain't all bad.
Yeah, so we just witnessed him killing over 55 people. But let me say in his defense,
he likes my son.
Let me finish. Let me say in my defense, and let me say in his defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you killed my joke. Thanks, Adam.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I still like the joke.
I do want to say this. One of my favorite bits is what I'm calling the Kool-Aid Man of Black Adam. Where
oh my Lord!
He
yes.
just runs through every wall, doesn't use any doors.
Yes.
It's so great. That woman's house is just completely jacked by the end of the stuff because
of course we
never
have
uses a door.
doors.
It's so good.
Of course we have doors.
I do like it that for about 7 minutes he rolls into kind of being like Drax from like hyper literal like Drax, but then that just kind of goes away.
But then again, like
that.
I kind of like that idea of like the kids, like, and again, this is all it's kid stuff, He's teaching him like again, Terminator 2. Here's where you need to do your punchlines and stuff. I think that was fun.
Yeah.
There was one joke that hit for me, which was when he ran out of time to say his catchphrase.
He decides to do 2 catchphrases, which he shouldn't. Like, I think he realized, I didn't have time for that second one. I just need to limit it to 1 catchphrase.
Well, he threw that guy, and as he threw the guy, he was like, "And don't forget to tell." And then the guy died. That was pretty good.
No, he didn't make it. That was great. There's a lot of fun with this. All right, before we get to our final review, we have to ask ourselves one very important question: is how this DC film relates back 1-to-1 with Sylvester Stallone.
Well, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Hi, Mr. Stallone. I'm happy to report that this week's Stallone connection is fairly easy since you and Dwayne The Rock Johnson have been circling each other for years. For instance, way back on November 3rd, 2010, you got on Twitter and wrote, and I'm quoting here, "The Rock could eventually replace me after being drafted into the Expendables, along with new young blood. Suggestions?" End quote. You got a flood of responses from people like this man who said, again, I'm quoting, "No one could replace you, Sly. You're the best."
Oh.
Actually, let me rephrase that you're a living legend, end quote. There's a ton of misspellings and there's a ton of capitalization where it doesn't need to be, clearly dealing with a lean mixture. And then there's this other response that I'm guessing was written by Greg Plitt that says, quote, Greg Plitt would do justice, end quote. Now, for the uninitiated, Greg Plitt was an American fitness model who died in 2015 after being hit by a train. I didn't know either. I'd never heard of him before. I had to look it up. Then in 2018, The Rock posted onto Instagram, tonight on Young Rock, I settle the most powerful question of all action hero movies, Stallone or Schwarzenegger. Sly and Arnold were my heroes growing up, and I will forever be grateful to them both for being so incredibly kind and supportive of me and my career when I first broke into Hollywood. They will always be the kings, and I just got to be the lucky SOB they welcome to stand on their shoulders. And that's an end quote there. But finally, in 2015, there's a great picture of both of you and The Rock at the 2005 Taurus World Stunt Awards, where you both look a little bit younger at being 2005. You both look happy to see each other, but honestly, The Rock looks a little nervous standing next to you, and I get it. Who wouldn't be? I think my biggest concern would be if I was The Rock, not saying anything stupid, which is always my biggest fear, because one time when I was younger, I hung out with a local band that I totally dug, and there was a lull in the conversation, and I said, so where do you guys hang out? I hang out in Plaza Midwood. And they looked at me like it was the last sentence they would ever hear come out of my mouth ever again, because it was. So since then, I play it cool. Big fan, I say, and then I randle on out of there. I don't think it's a question of if you and The Rock will work together, but when. Since he's now the highest paid actor in Hollywood and you're Sylvester Stallone, it'll have to be something big. And I'd like to make a suggestion if you'll allow me. I would totally watch a remake of the movie Stakeout starring you and The Rock. You play the Richard Dreyfuss role. The Rock plays the Emilio Estevez role. Yes, some changes would need to be made, like the fact that you both total a combined age of 126 years and that you're both huge dudes and you're probably not the best two guys for undercover work. No. But in my remake, we would lean into those things instead of hiding them. And I love the idea of the pitter patter between you two guys sitting in a car complaining about stakeouts and who gets to drive. I think the idea is a slam dunk. I'm available at any time, Mr. Stallone, that you want to speak. But there's your Stallone connection this week. Dwayne The Rock Johnson himself. This is the fourth week I've attempted to contact you directly. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
Send all your love and tweets till Sylvester Stallone on Twitter and all following social medias, and let him know that we love him and we just want to, you know.
I like the idea of a new movie in 2023 where Sylvester Stallone and The Rock play high school students, both trying out for the same spot on the football team.
And nothing's mentioned.
Yes, just play it straight.
Ain't no rule like in the book say that the football players can't be octogenarians.
It's that same joke of like when they killed off Roseanne on Roseanne because she's bonkers now, and the internet wanted Danny DeVito to replace her and play the role of Roseanne. And it got to Danny DeVito, and he was like, I'm 100% behind this idea. And no one just mentions anything. They don't put him in a wig. He's just Danny DeVito. I
love it.
Funny.
Giving John Goodman a good kiss on the lips and everything. Oh,
perfect.
So good. Well, here at Here Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. Bruce, where does Black Adam fall in the Robin rating system for you?
I think it's a good popcorn movie. I think it's good fun for a family. You got some kids. It's going to keep them entertained. I think it's got, it's got a devil. It's got some zombies. So if you're looking for a superhero movie to watch in super scary season, you could do worse than Black Adam. I think every year, pop it on for your kids around Halloween. It's a low Tim Drake for me. And I know that's going to raise some eyebrows, but it should raise The Rock's eyebrow, right? Isn't that his thing?
Yeah.
It used to be.
Sean?
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Never mind.
No, it's too late.
We did not talk about that in that mid-credit scene, and it's probably the most significant thing.
Well, let's get to it after our review, we'll do in the movie.
Yeah, we'll get. Oh, yeah, there you go. That'll be our mid-credit sequence.
Funsies. So, for me, this is the worst kind of movie you can make. It is boring. The only way I would suggest someone watch this is if the doctor tells you that you have 1 week left to live, because it'll feel longer if you're watching this movie. This is the worst kind of movie there is. This is a Jason Todd all the way for me. I just can't stand this movie. For the same reasons why I hated the character of Jason Todd.
That's fair enough. I'm going just a solid Tim Drake on this. I kind of liked it. I think I went in with such low expectations that, like, I don't know, maybe it was just like, it just didn't, all it had to do was not suck so horribly. And I don't think it sucked so horribly. And I was just, at the end of it, I was like, I'm not in a rush to see it again, but eventually in, 6+ months time, I won't mind seeing this again, because I didn't think it was terrible.
Because you will have forgotten everything about it because it's completely forgettable.
Well, you're not wrong there, but then again, like it's said, a revisit every once in a while is all you're really, but again, it could be so much worse, and I thought it was going to be so much worse, and it defied my expectations. And frankly, these days, if you can do that, especially coming from DC, look, bro, it's worth the price of admission, of which I'll soon have to start paying now because I'm losing my movie job, so I've got to go start paying like a regular old person again. No good for there, but
like a civilian,
but so good in so many other ways.
To the Losers Club.
Yeah, what can I say? Well, I am the president. What? Not only the president, also a client. Okay, we'll talk. We'll talk about what we're going to do in the next week. But let's do our mid-credit sequence here because
yes.
I didn't. Let me tell you a quick story before that involves what I thought was the credit sequence. Because while I was, like I said, I work in a movie theater for one more week here, and I was walking around upstairs, just kind of looking. And I was like, "Is this projector on?" So I looked out. And I saw what I thought was the mid-credits sequence, and I was just like, "Well, that makes sense." I would have figured that would have been in this because it was Shazam. I was like, "Oh, well, what I clearly saw was the Shazam trailer."
That's awesome.
So I thought,
awesome.
I thought, "Oh, we're gonna get." I was like, God, I spoiled," but I imagined Shazam would have been in the end of this thing anyway, so that's fine. And so when the mid-credit sequence comes, I am anticipating Shazam to pop up, and sure as shooting, old Superman. Not only Superman, Henry Cavill is Superman, and my heart jumped with glee.
Because if you'd asked me, I would have thought the chances are 115% that Cavill's not only out at DC, but probably out at Warner Brothers altogether. And then to see him show up at the end really confused me, shocked me. I don't know if it was pleasantly surprised, but it was unexpected. I mean, people have already been talking about since he's out at DC, which Marvel characters write for him. And now to see him back as Superman, that really opens up some possibilities, I suppose.
So here is the what I believe Bruce would call back matter on this stuff. So I knew that the Rock was pushing for Henry Cavill to continue to be Superman.
Yeah, I feel like
the reason why I say this is because he was all over social media telling everybody how DC's doing everything wrong if they don't bring back Henry Cavill. So there's that. And so I wasn't super surprised when Henry Cavill showed up. The fact that it was Superman did surprise me a bit, but the fact that it was Henry Cavill as Superman didn't surprise me. Then there's the second part that I know about the story, which is that until they knew they had Henry Cavill, they brought out somebody in a Superman suit who was not Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah.
And they replaced his face.
Well, they did a better job with this than old Whedon did in the Snyder movie, removing.
Well,
his
that's
mustache.
because they're not trying to hide something; they're just superimposing.
I know it's a much easier job for sure, but
I will say this: I did think that the body looked a little less in shape than what I've come to expect from Cavill on Witcher and stuff. So I did think that didn't look like his body. So I feel glad to know that I wasn't just kind of being crazy there.
You're not crazy, Mr. Leslie.
He's like, was I just thinking about Henry Cavill in just a sexy way? Was that what I was doing? Because that's
The $1 million question is, why no Zachary Levi anywhere to be seen in this thing?
because I think they're. I mean, well, frankly, I think they knew obviously that you're going to get DC trailers in front of DC movies, and Shazam would be one of those. Ergo, you don't need it to go after. And at the same time, too, I feel like there's going to be some sort of Black Adam tease in Shazam. One would imagine, yeah.
Well,
For whenever that happens.
there's a part of me that wondered if The Rock was saying once Zachary Levi shows up, this becomes a Shazam movie and not a Black Adam movie. Like I think it's very important that you keep The Rock happy when you're making this movie too.
Yeah, I think he knows what the end game is, and those two characters getting together eventually. But you don't want to gild that lily too quick.
And I've also heard the rumor, which I don't even know where I've heard it, so that's how little value you can put in it. But he doesn't even want to cross paths with Shazam until the third Black Adam movie, not the second.
Well, that's why I'd say tease at the end of Shazam 2 to lead into the next one. So I don't see anything wrong with that plan.
And where the hell is Bookworm, right? Am I right, guys?
Bookworm, I like that name for him. Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
Hey,
What's his real name?
Mr. Mind.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Mind.
Earworm. His name is Earworm.
Treat it like Wong. Kids love the Wong character. I said it first
Oh, man,
years
kids
ago,
love
and
Wong.
Lord knows it happened
Man,
eventually.
Kids love Wong.
I feel like we made that happen on this show. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Here Movie Podcast. We'll talk about what we're doing next week in just a moment. But Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Go check out the YouTube channel. YouTube has handles now, so you can just search for @AnimeDad, because I got the Anime Dad handle, just one word,
Nice.
Anime Dad. Look around here in the next day or two. I'm hoping to have a little special video up talking about Chainsaw Man with Josh from the All American Spook Show, a video rather than a podcast.
Wow, that happened quickly.
Very quick, man. Nice. Sean, what else?
We got a show called Andor 30 Questions, where each week we ask 30 questions of the television show Andor, and we're no different this week. So check that out if you enjoy Star Wars and at least two of the three of us.
All you got to do is like two. You can not like one, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But at least you got to at least like two. If you only like one person, that's a little, I don't know.
I don't even care which one it is,
No.
which two it is. I don't care.
I'm sure people don't like me.
Oh, I'm certain that people don't like me either. They let me know.
They write me.
People love me.
That's what happens when you're mouthy. That's what happens when you're mouthy. People let you know.
And of course, remember that you can always join us over at patreon.com/HMP. And of course, the Patreon vote. We got Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, The Creeps, Hideous, Trancers, and Demonic or Dollman versus Demonic Toys. All of those choices are available. Patreon.com/HMP. Join us next week when we'll be talking about that Patreon vote winner for Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet. Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Fortress. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Spending all my nights, all my money going out on the town. Doing anything just to get you off of my mind. But when the morning comes, I'm right back where I started again. And trying to forget you is just a waste of time. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could see there was something in everything about you. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong, and I just can't live without you. All day long, wearing a mask of false bravado, trying to keep up a smile that hides a tear. But as the sun goes down, you get that empty feeling again. How I wish to God that you were here. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could see there was something in everything about you. Baby, come back. just can't